So what if a single choice, a single path could determine not just your life, but the fate of your very soul? We're about to dive into an ancient and really powerful story about two brothers, a single prophecy, and an incredible chance for ultimate redemption. This is the amazing tale of Gokarna and Dhundhakari.
One whisper could mean eternal damnation or divine liberation. And that right there, that's really the heart of this whole story. The stakes are as high as they get. And as you're about to see, everything, and I mean everything, comes down to the profound power of sound and sacred words.
So, let's meet our two main characters. We've got two brothers, born into the exact same family, but destined for completely opposite paths. On one side, you have Gokarna, the saint, and on the other, Dhundhakari, the sinner. A single prophecy connects them, but their choices are going to tear their world apart. So where does all this begin? Well, it all starts with a single, desperate wish. A wish for a child that would end up setting two completely opposing destinies into motion, and there was no turning back. Okay, so the story kicks off with this guy Atmadeva. He's a really virtuous Brahmin, part of the priestly class, totally devoted to living a righteous life. The problem is, he and his wife are childless, and this deep yearning for an heir becomes an obsession, which leads him to a wandering sage, and that one decision changes everything. So the sage offers him a solution, a single enchanted fruit. But, and this is a big but, it comes with a heavy warning. This fruit will grant him a son, but his destiny is split right down the middle. One will be a saint, a real source of joy. But the other? He's going to be a rogue who will bring nothing but pain and sorrow. It's a blessing and a curse, all rolled into one, right from the very start. And just like the prophecy said, as the boys grew up, it all started to unfold exactly as foretold. They began to walk down two completely different roads, one of virtue and the other of pure vice.
And I mean, the difference between them was like night and day. Gokarna, he dedicated his whole life to mastering the scriptures, to asceticism, to pure spiritual devotion. Dhundhakari, on the other hand, just dove headfirst into a life of gambling, theft, and deceit. There was no middle ground here. They were total polar opposites.
And Dhundhakari's actions, wow, they had absolutely devastating consequences. His father, Atmadeva, was so heartbroken that he just renounced the world and left. His mother, Dhundhuli, fell into such a deep despair that she ended up taking her own life. And Dhundhakari, he was left with everything and he just wasted every last bit of it. The family was completely and utterly destroyed.
But for Dhundhakari, death wasn't the end of the story. It wasn't even the end of his suffering. In fact, what was waiting for him was even worse. A truly grim fate for a life filled with sin.
You can really see his whole tragic life laid out here. It's just this incredibly fast downward spiral. It starts with youthful indulgence, which leads directly to his family's ruin, then his own untimely death, and finally, this state of ghostly torment. Each step was a direct result of the one before it. Because of the immense weight of all his negative karma, his soul was just stuck. It became what's known as a pret in Hindu mythology, a restless, hungry ghost. He was trapped between worlds, cursed to just wander in this state of constant, agonizing hunger and thirst. It was an absolutely horrific existence.
But then, just when you think it's all over, the story takes a turn. This haunting from beyond the grave is about to become an unexpected and pretty dramatic cry for help.
So Gokarna, after being away for years, comes back to his village, and he has no idea what's happened to his brother. The ghost of Dhundhakari sees him and tries desperately to get his attention, shifting from one terrifying form to another. First, a raging elephant. Then a wall of blazing flames. And even a fierce sheep. These chaotic, wild transformations just show you how desperate and powerless the spirit really was. His past sins had literally stolen his own voice.
Gokarna, being the saint that he is, realizes what's happening, that some tormented spirit is trying to communicate with him. So he uses sacred water and mantras to give the spirit a voice. And what's the first thing the ghost says? Just this one heartbreaking plea, liberate me from this existence.
So, the big question is, how do you even begin to save a soul that's fallen this far? Well, Gokarna finds the answer in an ancient scripture. And this sets in motion what's known as the 7-day redemption, a ritual that holds the key to shattering those heavy chains of sin. Now, the tool he chooses for this seemingly impossible task is the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam.
And this isn't just any old book. In this tradition, it's considered the supreme scripture, a collection of stories and teachings that glorify Lord Vishnu. Gokarna knew that the divine stories and the sacred vibrations from reciting it were powerful enough to purify even the most corrupted soul.
So here's how it worked, and it's brilliant, actually. The ghost of Dhundhakari managed to hide inside a hollow bamboo stalk that had 7 knots. As Gokarna recited the scripture over 7 days, the purifying power of those sacred words caused 1 knot to burst each day. Each knot bursting represented a whole layer of sin being literally shattered and destroyed. So for 6 straight days, this goes on, 1 knot bursting after another. Then, on the 7th and final day, as Gokarna finishes reciting the sacred text, the last knot explodes with a loud crack. And the result is just an instantaneous, complete transformation. It's unbelievable. One moment, he's this formless, tormented ghost. The next, he emerges as a radiant, divine being, completely purified and totally free from his karmic burden.
His redemption is finally complete. Now transformed and totally free from his sins, Dhundhakari is met by divine messengers, and they escort him to Vaikuntha, the celestial home of Lord Vishnu. His long, terrible suffering is finally over.
It's an incredible story, right? A path to redemption against all odds, but it also makes you think. It raises a deeper question for all of us. What does this story say about the incredible power of the words we choose to hear, and how they truly shape our own reality?